First story. I demanded my boyfriend of 6 months throw his late GF's presents out of the house. He didn't, so I threw them myself, trashed her dedicated room, deleted their Minecraft world they built together, and told him to build a new one with me, dressed like his ex and cooked like her. And my entitled boyfriend broke up with me. I 26F have been dating my boyfriend 28M for about 6 months. Things have been going great. He's the kindest guy I've been with, and the most emotionally available too, which is rare. Before we started dating, I knew he had lost his previous girlfriend, Sarah, to leukemia. They were together for 3 years, and from what I gathered early on, it was a pretty serious relationship. He told me about her on our second date, and honestly, I thought it was sweet. I don't want to sound cold, but hearing him talk about her with that mix of grief and gratitude made me feel lucky. Like he wasn't some emotionally stunted guy trying to avoid intimacy. He clearly knew how to love someone deeply. But over time, what I first thought was emotional depth started to feel like something else. Something I wasn't really prepared for. At first, it was just little things. He has this shelf above his desk with a bunch of plush toys and tiny figurines, and I assumed they were childhood things or collectibles. Turns out, most of them were gifts from Sarah. That shelf sits right above where he works every day. I didn't think too much of it at first. I'm not heartless. I know grief doesn't vanish overnight. But then it kept coming up. He still talks to her parents. Regularly. Like every couple of weeks, he'll call her mom or text her dad to check in. He visits them for Sarah's birthday every year, and also around the holidays, like they're a second family. At first I chalked it up to closure, but after a while I started to feel replaced. And it's not just her family, his family still treats her like she's around. They bring her up casually, like, oh, Sarah loved this movie, or remember when Sarah brought that pie over? Always Sarah this, Sarah that. His mom once told me how Sarah saved his life, and how no one could ever really understand what they had. I just stood there awkwardly, holding a damn salad bowl. To be totally honest, I tried brushing it off, but I noticed this pit in my stomach every time she came up. It's like I wasn't dating him, I was dating the grieving version of him, and he came with a whole ghost I had to silently compete with. Every cute moment we shared felt like it had been done before, better, with someone else. Then came the Minecraft thing. I know it sounds dumb, but it's a real part of this. He's close to his little brother, and I thought it would be cute to join them during one of their Minecraft sessions. I'm not super into gaming, but I figured it was a nice way to bond with both of them. They had this huge world they'd built over the years. I was just walking around exploring, genuinely impressed by how detailed everything was. Then I came across a house, a cute little cottage with sunflowers around it, and a sign over the door that said, Sunray Sunshine. I asked about it, just casually. He got quiet for a second, then said, that was Sarah's house. I laughed, thinking he was joking. But no, he was dead serious. Apparently, the three of them, him, Sarah, and his little brother, built the whole Minecraft world together. That house, that room, even the sign, were all hers. They built it during the year she got diagnosed. She was too tired to go out some days, so they'd log in and play together. And suddenly, I felt sick. I thought I was making this new memory with him and his brother, something sweet and silly, just ours, but no. I was just walking through a digital museum of their relationship. A third wheel in a virtual scrapbook. I didn't say much in the moment. I smiled and made some awkward joke about, that's so sweet, but deep down, I hated it. Later, I asked if we could maybe repurpose the room in the game. Like turn it into something we built together. He immediately shut it down, said, no, that's her space. I tried not to let it ruin the evening, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't pissed. And it's not like I want to erase her, okay? I get it, she died, it was traumatic, and she meant a lot to him. But it's been 3 years, and she still has a shrine in a video game. After that, it just spiraled for me. I started noticing everything. The necklace he wears sometimes, hers. The hoodie I once stole off his chair, hers. He has this photo frame near his nightstand, not a photo of her, but a scenic picture of a beach. Guess who took the picture? Sarah. I started pulling away a bit after that. Not in an obvious way, but emotionally, I started putting up a wall. It felt like no matter what I did, no matter how great our connection was, I was never going to be that girl. I'd never get to be the one who saved him, or whatever idealized version of love they had. One night, I tried to talk to him about it. I didn't go in swinging or anything. I tried to be calm and explain that I was feeling insecure. That maybe holding on to so many of her things wasn't healthy. I called it unfair, which, in hindsight, maybe wasn't the smartest move. He didn't yell, but I could tell he was mad. He said I was being insensitive. That losing someone doesn't mean you stop loving them. That he didn't choose for her to die. And carrying her memory doesn't mean he's stuck in the past. He said he has moved on, and that loving her doesn't take away from what he feels for me. Then he listed all the ways she helped him. How she got him into school, how she pushed him to apply for the job he has now, how she believed in him when he didn't even believe in himself. It was like he was defending her to me, not trying to reassure me. I told him that made me feel like a runner-up. Like I'd always be second place to someone who isn't even here anymore. I said I'd feel more comfortable if maybe he could get rid of some of the gifts, just so I wouldn't have to constantly be reminded that I'm not her. That's when he shut down. Just stared at me and said, "No. And if you don't like my room, then don't go in it." And that was it. He didn't bring it up again. He didn't try to compromise or revisit the conversation. It was like a wall went up. Now, we avoid the topic completely, but I still feel it every day. Since that night, things haven't been the same. He acts normal on the surface, same hugs, same conversations, same routines, but there's this tension that wasn't there before. A quiet, permanent pause between us. And it's all because I finally said out loud what I'd been thinking for weeks. The signs that he wasn't over her were always there. I just convinced myself I was imagining it. It's not just the trinkets or the room. It's the way he reacts when people bring her up. His whole face changes. It's like watching someone remember a better life. And when his mum gushes about how Sarah used to bake with her, or how she was the daughter she never had, I'm expected to smile through it like I'm not a placeholder. I went with him to his cousin's engagement party last month. His family brought up Sarah 3 times in the first hour. Someone even said, "Sarah would have loved this," while we were watching the couples dance. I stood there with a drink in my hand, invisible. No one bothered to include me in that moment. I wasn't even part of the memory. I wasn't part of anything. The worst part is, I started comparing myself to her. I looked up her old Facebook. She was gorgeous, talented. She painted, apparently. Ran charity drives for her hospital. There's a whole highlight reel of her life, still online, friends leaving messages every year. Her parents posting photos on her birthday. She's frozen in time as this perfect person. And I'm supposed to compete with that. We got into another argument last week. Not explosive, just cold. We were watching a movie, and he mentioned offhandedly that Sarah loved it. I didn't say anything. He noticed and asked if I was okay. I told him, "No, I'm tired of competing with someone who isn't even here." He just looked at me, dead silent. I said I didn't want to hear about her anymore. That I didn't want to feel like I was dating a man stuck in someone else's story. He said, "That's not fair. You knew from the start." And yeah, I did. But I thought we were building something new. I didn't think I'd be living in someone else's shadow 6 months in. He asked me what I expected him to do. Throw away gifts. Cut off her family. Pretend it didn't happen. I told him yes. At least the gifts. At least the shelf full of her plush toys is watching me while I sit in his room. At least stop bringing her up like she's still the measuring stick for everything good. If she's gone, let her be gone. He took a long pause and just said, "Then maybe I'm not the guy for you." That hit harder than anything. Because he's probably right. But I still stayed. I don't know why. Maybe because I didn't want to be the girl who couldn't handle a dead ex. Maybe I thought I could still win this, still carve out space for myself. But every time he mentions a memory, or wears that hoodie, or visits her parents, I feel smaller. Like my role in his life is optional. I've tried to let it go. I really have. I tell myself that love isn't a competition. That grief is messy. But when I'm lying next to him, and I see the little origami bird on his nightstand that she made, all I can think is, why is she still here? Last weekend, he brought me to brunch with his parents. His mum handed him a card from Sarah's mum, just a simple thank you for visiting them on her birthday. He opened it right there, smiled, said, "She still writes the same way." His mum teared up. I just sat there, eating eggs, wondering why I was even included. I asked him later if he could stop visiting her parents. He said no. That they're family now. That losing her didn't end that bond. I told him it made me feel like a third wheel. That if we ever got married, I'd be marrying into their grief, too. He said, "That's not how this works. You either accept that she was part of my life or you don't." I said, "She wasn't part of your life. She is your life." That ended the conversation. Again. I've talked to friends about it. Mixed responses. Some say I should be more compassionate, that grief doesn't disappear on a timeline. Others say it's not healthy for him to still be so wrapped up in it after 3 years. One friend said I'm just insecure and jealous of a dead girl. That one stung. But I don't think I'm asking for much. I'm not asking him to erase her. Just to give me space to exist. To be seen. To not feel like a visitor in someone else's love story. If that makes me the bad guy, fine. But I can't lie, I'm bitter. I roll my eyes every time she's mentioned now. Every sweet story feels like a slap. Every memory they laugh about feels like a reminder that I'll never be her. And honestly, I don't even feel guilty about it anymore. I'm tired of feeling like the arsehole for wanting to be more than a stand-in. So yeah, I asked him to get rid of the gifts. To stop bringing her up constantly. To cut back on the visits to her family. He said no. And I've stayed, even though I know I probably shouldn't have. But I still wonder, was I wrong to ask? Ada. Comments. Comment 1. YTA. And let's just start with the obvious. She's not his ex. They didn't fall out of love. She died. They never got to end their story. It just stopped. And you stepping in, 6 months into dating, demanding that her memory be edited out like a bad ex. That's not just selfish, it's disrespectful. You say you feel like you're competing with her. She's not competing. She's not even here. You're the only one playing this as a contest and still losing. That should tell you something. You can't win against someone frozen in time. She'll always be younger, softer, and kinder in his memory. That's how death works. You either learn to live alongside that grief, or you leave. But you don't get to tell someone when to stop loving someone who died. He gave you honesty. He told you where he stands. He even tried to explain that loving Sarah doesn't mean he loves you less. You didn't listen. You tried to control how he grieves, who he remembers, and what he keeps. That's not love. That's insecurity masquerading as authority. He deserves better. Comment 2. YTA. And let me be blunt. You didn't want a boyfriend. You wanted an empty template of a man with no past. This isn't about grief lingering too long. This is about you walking into a relationship knowing his history, hearing about the woman who shaped him, and deciding 6 months in that you want her memory sanitized for your comfort. What did you think loving someone who lost their partner would look like? Clean-cut boxes of emotions. Grief doesn't expire after 36 months, just because you want to feel like the main character now. You said, if she's gone, let her be gone. She is gone. That's the whole effing point. She's dead. But she's also part of the reason he is who he is now. You can't yank that out of him without gutting the very person you're dating. You're not second place, you're just the one who's here now. And that should be enough if you were secure. But you're not. So you're trying to erase her legacy because your ego can't handle being with someone who loved before you. If you keep going down this road, you're going to lose him, and honestly, you probably should. Comment 3. Soft YTA. But also, I kinda feel bad for you. You're drowning in insecurity. And it's clear you thought dating a grieving guy would be romantic in a tragic sort of way, like a Nicholas Sparks book. But grief in real life isn't poetic. It's messy and permanent. And sometimes it looks like plush toys and family visits and random moments where someone stares too long at a beach photo. You made one huge mistake, though you asked him to prove he's moved on by erasing her. That never works. And it backfired, obviously, because now he doesn't trust you with that part of himself. And that's on you. But I also get the quiet, bitter build-up. Feeling like you're always playing catch-up to a memory. That's a hell of a head game to live with. He's not the arsehole. You're not evil. But this relationship, it's a bad match. If you stay, this will just turn into a war. You'll keep losing every time she's brought up. Every time he visits her parents. Every time you look at that damn origami bird. You should leave. Update. So, a lot has happened since my post. I wish I could say things got better after that argument. But they didn't. They just settled into this quiet resentment that sat between us all the time. I didn't bring Sarah up again, but the reminders never stopped. Every time he mentioned her in passing, every time his phone buzzed, and it was her mum, and every time I saw that shelf, it felt like the room got smaller. I was still angry, but I also didn't want to be the one to bring up the same fight. So instead, I tried to prove I belong. I started doing what I thought a loving girlfriend should do, being supportive, being available, planning small things for us, and trying to create new memories. I put effort in. I really did. But it always felt like I was performing for a role that already had an actress before me. Then I made the mistake of talking to his mum. I didn't go in ready to fight. I went in trying to be honest. I thought if someone acknowledged how hard this was for me, I'd feel less invisible. I told her I felt overshadowed. That sometimes it felt like the whole family was still living in the past. I didn't ask her to tell him anything. I didn't ask her to take my side. I just wanted someone to understand where I was coming from. She didn't. She looked at me like I had just insulted a memorial service. She said, word for word, "Sarah will always have a place here. If you feel threatened by that, Maybe you're not a good fit for our family. I felt the burn from that sentence for days. After that, I felt stupid for thinking this could ever be my relationship. It was always going to be his and hers, with me just existing in whatever leftover emotional space was available. Around this point, I started trying harder in a different way. I cooked meals she used to cook. I tried to mimic her hobbies based on what I saw online. I tried being overly affectionate. I thought maybe if I gave enough, he'd start seeing me without her shadow attached to everything. It didn't work. Nothing changed. I just felt more pathetic. Then came the night everything boiled over. He and his brother were playing Minecraft again, and I heard them laughing about some inside joke connected to Sarah. It's like the air got sucked out of me. I don't know what exactly snapped, but I felt like I was drowning in a story that didn't have room for me. So, when he went out, I opened the game. I didn't think. I wasn't angry in a loud way. I was angry in that numb, eerie, quiet way. I went to that little cottage, and I destroyed it. Block by block. The house, the garden, anything tied to her. Gone. Not just that, some of the surrounding buildings too, because they had been made during that time. I wiped the server. It didn't feel like enough. So I went to his room, and I started taking the shelf items down, the plushies, the clay trinkets, and the picture she took. I put them all into a trash bag. I wasn't dramatic about it. I didn't scream or cry. I just did it. Then the moment of clarity hit, not guilt, but fear. I realized he would come home and think I was the maniac, and I didn't want that. I didn't want to look crazy, so I panicked and tried undoing it. I dug the stuff out of the trash. Some of it was bent, ripped, or dirty. One plush had got juice spilt on it earlier when someone left a glass on the counter. I tried to clean it. It just looked worse. The origami bird basically fell apart in my hands. But the Minecraft world was gone. There was no fixing that. I sat there for almost an hour staring at the screen, trying to think of some way to explain it that didn't make me sound unhinged. When he got home, I waited until night to tell him. I told him what I did. I tried to keep my voice steady. I said, "You pushed me to this. I wouldn't have done any of it if you had just moved forward with me instead of living in the past." His whole face just changed, like something shut off. He asked me one question. "Do you realize what you destroyed?" I told him I destroyed a shrine to someone who wasn't here anymore, and that maybe now we could build something of our own. He said, "No. You destroyed the last place my brother, and I had to remember her where she didn't look sick." I didn't have anything to say after that. We argued, yes, but it wasn't loud. It was exhausted. He told me he never promised to stop loving her. I told him I never agreed to share him. He told me he couldn't trust me now. I told him he pushed me to it. He said, "Maybe we're done then." We didn't break up officially. But he asked for space. He slept at his brother's that night. He hasn't texted me since except for one message. "We're taking a break. Don't come over." I don't know where this ends yet, but I know I'm the arsey hole in everyone else's version of the story. And I still don't feel sorry. Comments. Comment 1. I don't think people get how deep this betrayal goes. You didn't just hurt your boyfriend, you traumatized his little brother too. That Minecraft world wasn't just some cute online base. It was the last place they had Sarah, healthy, happy, and alive. You took that from them. Why? Because you couldn't handle not being the center of the emotional universe. You weren't dating a man with a messy ex. You were dating a man who lost someone. And you came in thinking love meant ownership, like he couldn't love both of you in different ways. But grief doesn't operate on your clock. You had options: leave, seek therapy, set your own boundaries. Instead, you nuked the one place where her memory still brought comfort. You say you don't feel sorry. Then don't expect anyone else to feel sorry for you when this all falls apart. Comment 2. You know what sticks out the most? Not the destruction, not even the argument, but the fact that you still framed this as his fault. Like, girl, you literally tore down the one emotional legacy he had left of someone who died, then spun it like he pushed you. Nah, he didn't push you. You jumped. And you brought fire. You said you're tired of being a visitor in someone else's story. But guess what? You were. Every person has a past. You don't get to demand they burn it down to make room for you. You earn that space. You build it. You don't break what already exists. You say you're not sorry. Fine. Then don't act confused when he doesn't come back. Because if someone trashed my grief like that, there's no break. That's the end. Comment 3. NGL, I think this was doomed from the start. And neither of you had the emotional maturity to be in this together. He's living in a constant state of reverence for a dead woman. And you walked into that house thinking he'd shelve that part of himself like a phase. You weren't just fighting her memory. You were fighting what she represented. His turning point. His light. His effing compass. But your mistake wasn't just being jealous. It was trying to solve it by erasure. You went into full reset mode. Minecraft, gifts, memories all gone. And for what? Control? Relief? That's not healing. That's sabotage. And now you've permanently damaged a place that wasn't yours to fix. You didn't need to be her replacement. You just needed to be yourself. But instead you chose war. And you lost. Update. It's been about 6 weeks since the break. I don't live at his place anymore. For those who asked, it was always his house. I just spent so much time there, especially overnight, that it felt like home. After everything, I packed up my stuff and left the same night. He told me not to come over. He didn't ask me to. He didn't have to. His brother didn't say anything either. That silence was deafening. He was the one I tried bonding with originally. We played together. Joked around. It felt like he liked me. But after what I did deleting the Minecraft world, trashing Sarah's things, he went completely silent. He unfriended me in the game the same night. Left the group chat without a word. But a week later, his silence broke, and not in a good way. He texted me. A long message. It was a full-on gutting. Said I ruined the only place that didn't make her feel dead. That the Minecraft world was where she felt real again, healthy, funny, bright. He called me selfish. Said I came into their life and destroyed the one thing they had left that didn't feel painful. Said I didn't just hurt his brother, I hurt him, too. And that he never wanted to see me again. I didn't respond. What the hell was I supposed to say? A few days later, I messaged my ex. I sat with it for 2 hours before hitting send. It wasn't dramatic or long. I just said I was sorry. That I acted from a place of hurt, and I didn't expect forgiveness. But I wanted him to know I understood too late. But still. He read it almost immediately. I saw the read notification and stared at it for 30 minutes, waiting for the typing bubble. It never came. Later that night, I got one line back. Please don't contact me again. That was it. And here's the part I didn't expect. I didn't cry. I just sat with it. Cold. Numb. Empty. So I went to therapy. Not because I felt guilty, because I didn't know why I'd spiraled the way I did. I needed to understand why someone else's grief felt so threatening to me. Why I could love someone and still try to gut the things they loved. Why I turned into someone I barely recognized just to feel enough. And therapy has been brutal. Apparently, I have a habit of inserting myself into roles I don't belong in, trying to earn love by outperforming others, and then lashing out when it doesn't work. Apparently, some of that comes from never being prioritized in my own family, always being the second choice, the backup plan, the afterthought. I didn't just want to be loved, I wanted to be the most loved. And when that wasn't happening, I panicked. My therapist calls it emotional scarcity. I call it always feeling like someone else got there first. I tried dating again. Got on Hinge. Met a guy named Ryan. Nice enough. Works in finance, loves his dog, and made me laugh once. But during dinner, he mentioned he lost a cousin last year, and my body tensed. I spent the rest of the night waiting to hear if he had a shrine for her, or a hoodie, or a box of trinkets in his bedroom. He didn't bring it up again, but I realized I don't trust myself in a relationship right now. Because every new connection feels like a prequel to another competition. I've been sitting with that. Sometimes I wonder if I was actually in love with my excess, or if I was in love with what I wanted him to give me: undivided attention, emotional devotion, space no one else had ever touched. I think I mistook longing for love, possession for affection. And I've read the comments. I know what most people think. You're unhinged. You're jealous of a dead woman. You destroyed someone's grief to make yourself feel bigger. Maybe you're right. But here's the part no one likes to hear. I don't regret feeling the way I felt. I didn't make it up. I didn't imagine being left out of conversations. I didn't invent the feeling of being in a house that never had space for me. I just handled it wrong. I burned it down instead of walking away. But I didn't hallucinate the coldness, the constant comparisons, or the subtle reminders that I was never going to be her. And that still matters, even if I was the villain in the end. I wrote a post last week trying to explain all of this. Not here, somewhere else. Different username, different platform. I just wanted to talk it through. Maybe find someone who'd say, yeah, I get it. You lost your mind, but I get it. Instead, it was the same thing again. Dozens of people dissecting me like a case study in emotional immaturity. No sympathy, just judgment. So I deleted it. Not because it didn't help. None of it helps. But I did something weird last night. Re-downloaded Minecraft. Started a new world. I don't even know why. I hadn't touched the game since that night. But something in me needed to build again. No shrines. No signs. No recreating what I deleted. Just a house. A field. A river nearby. I built for 2 hours. It doesn't mean anything. I'm not making some deep metaphor about healing or rebuilding myself or whatever. I just wanted to feel like I was making something instead of wrecking it. I don't know if that's progress. I don't even know who I am in this story anymore. But for once, I didn't feel like I was in someone else's world. It was just mine. Comments. Comment 1. You're still doing it. You say you went to therapy, that you've gained insight, but every line is laced with, yeah, but I felt this way, so it's valid. No, not every feeling justifies the action that follows. You trashed his safe space, dismantled memories that weren't yours, and are now dressing it up in poetic self-reflection like that makes it better. It doesn't. Your hurt was real fine. But you weren't just reacting to grief. You wanted dominance in his emotional life. You didn't want to be loved. You wanted exclusivity. And when you didn't get it, you lashed out. You say you didn't hallucinate the coldness and the comparisons, but girl, that's not what happened. You weren't being compared to her, you were comparing yourself to her. That was all internal. And when you couldn't win, you decided to erase the scoreboard. That's not healing. That's sabotage. And the worst part is, you still seem more focused on whether people understand you than whether you understand the damage you did to them. Comment 2. This is going to sound weird, but I feel for you in a way I didn't expect to. Not because I think what you did was okay, it wasn't. It was invasive, cruel, and absolutely crossed every line imaginable. But I get what it's like to constantly feel like an afterthought. That SHT sticks to your ribs. But here's the thing you missed, and maybe you're only now starting to get it. Love isn't a zero-sum game. Just because someone loves someone else doesn't mean there's less for you. You kept trying to erase Sarah like that would make room. But what you needed to do was create space for yourself alongside her memory, not instead of it. That Minecraft moment. That was your breaking point, yeah. But for them, it was probably the moment they lost the last part of Sarah that felt alive. You didn't just hit the nuke button on your relationship, you took part of their healing with it. I hope therapy really helps. Because self-awareness without accountability is just a diary entry. Comment 3. This is the most, I'm sorry you're mad energy I've ever seen in a Reddit post. You're not sorry for what you did. You're sorry for the consequences. And the way you describe rebuilding your own Minecraft world. That's not growth. That's self-mythologizing. You want us to picture you as this tragic anti-hero rebuilding from ashes. But really, you're someone who lit the match, and now wants credit for sweeping up. You keep clinging to this idea that because you felt insecure, you were entitled to a reaction. No, you were entitled to a conversation. Not emotional arson. And can we talk about how you still called it his hoodie, and her trinkets, and that shelf, but never once said our home or our space? You were always outside because you never tried to step inside with grace. You wanted to own it, not share it. He told you where the lines were. You didn't just cross them, you pissed on them. Second story. My boyfriend's cousin tried to sell me. I didn't tell my boyfriend, and I avoided letting him touch me because I was traumatized by what his cousin did. My boyfriend broke up with me. It's been 3 years. He still doesn't know and has moved on with another girl. Now I want to tell him the truth. All names are fake. This is going to be long and might not make much sense, but I haven't been able to stop crying. I am now 25F, and my ex, who I will refer to as Bill, is now 31M. We met on my 21st birthday at the bar. My friend, at the time, had introduced us. This was a couple weeks after my previous ex had broken up with me, so I was in no way ready to begin a new relationship. But Bill and I steadily talked every day and began seeing each other around February/March, which was about 4 months later. Around this time he had introduced me to his cousin Nate and his wife Jess, who I quickly became close to. Also around this time I was in between places to live, so the cousin and wife offered me to rent their spare bedroom in the basement and allowed my dog, which I happily accepted. They also have a toddler that I got along great with. All 4 of us would hang out a lot and became close. After a few months I realized I still was not ready to be dating, but Bill and I stayed friends. I continued living with Nate and Jess, and in January of the following year 2022, Bill and I got back in touch and decided to retry our relationship. However, something happened the day before that ruined everything. The night before we made things official, I was out drinking at the bar with a couple of friends. I got home pretty tipsy, but not too drunk at about 1 a.m., and Nate was in the living room playing video games and drinking, which is actually very normal for him. Jess was sleeping. Nate had a blanket over him, and I said goodnight and went downstairs to go to bed. That is when he stood up and started walking towards me, and I noticed he was completely naked. He pushed me into the wall and tried kissing me. I immediately pushed him away from me, and he stumbled back, so I ran downstairs. He luckily did not follow me, but as someone who has been sawed a few times in the past, I ended up having a full panic attack in my room. I ended up not being able to fall asleep that night. The next day Nate acted like nothing had happened, and I was obviously keeping my distance from him, not speaking. I did not go upstairs, but Bill and I ended up talking and getting back together. After what happened with Nate, he realized after a couple days that I was avoiding him, and he asked me why. He seemed genuinely concerned, and I told him what he did. He was mortified. He explained he had been drinking beer and liquor, and had taken a couple rips off his dab pen, and had no memory of me even coming home that night. He apologized so many times I truly believe he did not remember what happened, and he gave me the space I asked for, but now to Bill. After what happened, I did not want to be touched at all by anyone. Bill asked me what was wrong, and I couldn't bring myself to tell him what his cousin did. I had thought about telling him a lot, but there was nothing good that would have come from it. My thoughts were, he believes me, beats his cousin, and ruins their relationship, which would also ruin his family with Jess and the kid. Bill doesn't believe me, and then our relationship is ruined. I've been in similar situations in the past, and no one believed me, and I couldn't risk putting myself through that again. Or, I keep it to myself and just move on and deal with it on my own, as I've done before. I decided that I would tell Bill someone tried touching me that night, and I was just uncomfortable with touch at the moment, and to give me some time to get over it. He was extremely understanding at first. He did want to know who it was, but I lied and told him it's no one he knew, and to please let it go. I just need some time to get over it. Well, after a few weeks he started getting frustrated, because he thought I was pushing him out. And maybe I unknowingly was. I was not doing well mentally with everything that had happened, and I was not getting over it like I thought I would. Bill ended up leaving me over it, because he felt like I just kept pushing him out. I didn't blame him. About a month later, I was supposed to go in for a heart procedure, and was drinking at the bar because I was so anxious about it. I ended up seeing Bill there. We saw each other, but did not speak. Before I went home, I went to my pickup and just started crying from everything. I texted Bill and asked if he could come talk to me. He was always very good at helping me through my health issues. He did come out. But he ended up yelling at me about how I'm a horrible woman for pushing him away, and telling me how bad I am, which in turn made me cry worse. It was after about 5 minutes when Nate came over and broke it up, and Bill went back into the bar. That's the last time we've spoken. That was around March 2022. I moved out of Nate's place that November and haven't seen or spoken to him since due to another irrelevant issue. It's now October 2025, and I moved 2,000 miles away from that town last year. I can see on social media that Bill looks to be in a new relationship, and I'm very happy for him. But I was in my Instagram messages the other night looking for an old conversation when I saw a message Bill sent me in March 2022 that I had not seen before. The gist of the message was that he doesn't know why I pushed him out, and he wished I would just let him fix everything. The message absolutely broke something inside of me. He didn't deserve the treatment I gave him, and now I'm wondering if I should have just told him the full truth of what happened back then. I want to reach out to him to apologize. I'm not looking to get back together with him at all since I see he is with someone, and I moved away. But I'm divided on whether or not I should send the apology message I wrote out in my notes app. I have been crying every night after seeing the message he sent me. I feel so much guilt for everything, and could just use some advice on if I did the right thing by not telling him the full truth back then, and if I should just leave everything alone now. Comments. Comment 1. I can't believe no one else has pointed this out yet. You told Bill that you were sawed harassed, and he did not respect your need to heal. A good person would have given you the space and time to heal from a traumatic incident like this. You did nothing wrong, and Bill deserves nothing from you. He certainly doesn't deserve an apology. Other people have commented that you should have told Nate's wife, but that is not your responsibility. Don't let anyone make you think it is. The only responsibility you have is to yourself and your healing journey. I'm so sorry this happened to you, and I hope your new life is treating you much better. OP. Thank you for this. That's what I keep trying to tell myself. But I also see Bill's side. He's a very touchy and loving person, and not being able to give him that for a month, I'm sure, was difficult for him. Comment 2. Kind of a weird suggestion. Write Bill the letter. Pour everything you feel into it. Don't use last names, just in case. Don't use a return address. Address it to Santa Broken Heart Division. Or things left unsaid, division, regrets, etc. You get the idea. Then mail the damn thing. You're physically taking steps to set things right. And that might be all your subconscious needs to let this angst go. Also, try finding a song that makes you cry. Tears are supposed to be cleansing. I'm stuck on a German song, Gaboren, zu Leben. Apparently, I have a lot of emotions I need to dump. I don't even know German. I was informed that the singer's tone, melody, and chords are understood intuitively, without getting hung up on the lyrics. I do know I feel better after a good cry. Hugs. You've got this. Comment 3. The only person you should be writing is Jess to let her know her husband is a creep who blames his actions on drugs and alcohol. Update. I ended up sending an apology text. I'll copy and paste the direct convo. Me? Okay, I really don't know how to start this. But I just saw this last message recently. It was opened, but I do not remember reading it in 2022. I just now saw it, and it made me absolutely sick. I know this is late, but I am so sorry for everything that happened back then. You did not deserve any of it, and I really was not trying to push you away. I know you probably won't believe me, and I don't blame you, but I really did love you and never wanted to push you away. I was trying to work through something on my own, and I isolated myself from everyone, including you. I'm sorry I never told you the whole truth of what happened that night, and I'm sorry that I let it affect me to the point I pushed you away. I really hope your life is going well and that you are happy. I don't expect you to reply to this at all, but I needed to let you know I never wanted to hurt you, and I'm really sorry that I did. Him. I appreciate the apology, and I too owe you one. Our issues had two sides, and I own and apologize for my hand in the problems as well. So it went well. I feel like a huge weight was lifted off my back. Even though I still didn't tell him the fun truth, I'm glad there's no longer bad blood between us, and I'm so happy he seems to be happy in his life. Thank you all here for your advice. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.